Welcome to the Nothing Much Just Chillin' Show with your hosts Emma and Julio. Nothing much, just chillin' show. Nothing much, just a chillin'.
Welcome back to NMJC, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Emma, and this is my podcast called Nothing Much Just Chillin', where I chill and you guys chill with me, and it's all just a big chill fest. Since I've started season 2, I've kind of added in a little thing in the beginning of these episodes to say that this is meant to be like a FaceTime call. This is meant to be a heart-to-heart between friends, and honestly, I just want my podcast to feel like a hug, to feel like you have a friend for 30 minutes to an hour. And I just want people to not feel so alone, because loneliness is an epidemic in the world today, and human connection is something we all crave, but may not be something we all have time for. And I think that's why people turn to podcasts or people that they follow on social media, like TikToks and creators, and even music, even listening to music. People are craving human connection, but we all are working. We're all like trying to survive, so it's kind of impossible to have substantial human connection, you know, the kind that the first people of the world had, because we have to pay our bills. So anyways, yes, this is Nothing Much Just Chillin' with me, Emma Vo. This is our 100th episode, because I started this podcast with my boyfriend Julio, but we stopped last year doing it together in the beginning of last year. I think we ended season 1 in February, and then last year in I think August I brought it back for season 2 and just to do it by myself. And Julio's been on a handful of times since then. I've had other guests on, but it is just my podcast now, which is like a lot of pressure, but it's exciting, and I love it. I love podcasting. Most of you know, for a career, I edit podcasts. I'm just documenting my life in a way where I can look back on how I felt about certain things and, you know, really cringe looking back at myself. I was like, oh, for the 100th episode, should I react to old like stuff I said in old episodes, because I feel like that would be interesting maybe, but I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't listen to myself talk. Like when I edit this podcast, I just block out that I'm hearing my voice, because everybody hates the sound of their own voice, you know, and I feel like that's why. I mean, sometimes I ask friends to be on the podcast and they're like, no, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I'm like, that's so fair, but I feel like everybody feels like that. But yeah, when you have to edit yourself, when you have to edit your voice, it's like, oh, I just block it out for the time editing, and then after that I can't listen. But yeah, also, if you're wondering why I have a paper towel wrapped in an elastic around my finger, it's because I cut my finger this morning cutting open an avocado. I will admit I am coming clean right now as an irresponsible avocado cutter opener, because I cut my avocados in a very violent way, and I think it just took this one time of actually cutting myself to be like, maybe I should reassess how I cut open my avocados. I think I'm going to be a little more careful now, maybe use a different approach than I normally do, because it's just not the right way to cut it, and it also is very dangerous, and I got hurt today and I'm paying the price, and there's a nice little deep cut in my finger now. So but why I don't have a band-aid on it is because I don't have any band-aids, and I could have just walked to CVS. CVS is literally so close to me. I could just walk there and get new band-aids. I'll get them later, but for right now, this is gonna have to do, because I didn't have going to CVS to get band-aids in my plan for today. So that's just gonna have to wait. So please excuse my injured finger if you're watching this instead of just listening. So yeah, this is the 100th episode, and I am incredibly I'm incredibly proud to say that. There are some things I'm not proud about, like how like inconsistent I've been in season 2. Like season 1, we did it every single week, and it was easier to do it with another person to like keep on track with. But when it's by myself, like I'm just busy. And we stopped season 1 because I had to focus on making money. I was in a bad state financially, not like horrible or anything like drastic, like it's very relative, but like I was in a bad spot with my debt, and I just needed to focus on other ways to make money besides just working for myself. Because after the pandemic, I'm sure you all know, like freelancing really in any industry took a hit during the pandemic. So after the pandemic, I was a little bit crushed financially, which sucked, but it's fine because now I can say with so much gratitude today that I have crawled my way out of it, and I have zero debt today, Saturday, October 14th. I have zero debt, which is really just like feels like I just feel so much lighter now. And I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck you, Emma, I still have debt. I totally understand. Like I had so much credit card debt for the past like 2 years, and it was really bad starting in January. So like from January till now, I've just been like really, really, really trying to be on my shit and paying off my credit cards. And yeah, the day has come. I have no debt, and I'm very proud of myself. It's a huge accomplishment, I'd say, in the world we live in today. So yeah, now I'm entering my financially secure era, not my financially free era. That'll be the next one, but financially secure era. And it feels pretty great because I just feel like that's been a heavy weight on my shoulders for such a long time. So yes, I started season 2 last year by myself, and I have really loved talking to you guys just one-on-one. I really have. And I think that I am able to be really vulnerable online in a way that like Julio didn't want to be. And that's totally fine because, as I've said many times, like not many people are like that, and not many people, like people don't owe you the ugly, shameful, negative parts of your life, you know? Like yes, social media is a highlight reel, and sorry if you feel like people aren't being like real online or if everything's fake. Like I totally get being like, ugh, I hate this. I hate social media. It's so fake. Like it's not nice all the time to like see everybody's highlight reel when you're going through a tough time. Like it's really annoying, honestly. So I love this podcast, and I do not plan on stopping anytime soon. And I hope that the next 100 episodes are filled with a lot of love, laughter, understanding, and chilling. So I do love my solo episodes, but it has been pretty lonely doing a lot of solo episodes. So I have recently asked guests to come on the podcast that aren't just Julio, and it's been really fun, and I've really loved it. And I'm excited for the podcast guests that I've already filmed with that are coming out soon. And I'm just excited to ask more people, even though it's the most embarrassing thing. It's like such an LA thing to be like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? Like, it's so embarrassing. It really is. Like, I hate it, but I think it's just like something I just have to have confidence in myself. And you know what? If they say no, they say no. And that is totally okay. It wasn't meant to happen. We weren't meant to chill together and record it, I guess. So because I'm inviting more guests, people I know well and people I don't know, I want to get better at asking questions. I want to get better at conversing with people. And that's honestly one of the goals in the first place of me starting a podcast in general, is I just want to get better at talking, because I feel like I have such insanely deep and introspective thoughts, and the way I think about people in my head is just I feel is very beautiful, but sometimes when I speak I can't convey what I mean. I have trouble conveying my emotions because it's just like so much coming out at one time. It's hard for me to be an eloquent speaker because I like feel before I speak, if that makes sense. I don't know. But anyways, so today I have a list of questions that I'm going to answer, and I would love if any question that I ask and answer for myself, if any of them stand out to you, please answer for yourself in the comments or text me or call me or DM me your answer. All right, let's get started. First question is, what is your most awkward moment from middle school or high school? I love this question because I love Penn Badgley's podcast. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or listened to it, but it's called Pod Crushed, and the focus is kind of on, they have guests on, and the focus is kind of talking about middle school and high school and growing up and like kind of how it shaped who you are. Okay, awkward moment in middle school or high school. Okay, I don't know why this is the only one coming to my head right now, but I remember feeling so embarrassed because sometimes I say things without thinking, as I just went through, like, and some of my feelings are very boy-centric feelings, if you know what I mean. But I had a crush on one of my teachers in high school, and during his class, or I had his class with one of my best friends, and my friend's dad worked for a sports team, and my friend had gotten our teacher a t-shirt or jersey or something from that sports team. And so oh no, I'm like reliving like how I said it too. So my friend, who I'm sitting right next to, gives our teacher the shirt or jersey or whatever, and he's like pumped, like he's so excited. He's like, oh my God, like I can't wait to put this on. Like I want to put this on right now, but like that would be inappropriate because he would have to like insinuating like he would have to take his shirt off. And I was just like, oh my, this is so embarrassing. I forget my exact words, but I said something along the lines of like, that'd be okay. Like, that'd be okay if you took your shirt off. Oh my God, I'm cringing at myself. Why did I say that? And I thought I said it under my breath. I really thought I did. I thought I said it just so my friend could hear it. But then my teacher goes, that's inappropriate, and then just walks away. Also, I just thought of another awkward moment with this teacher. I have so many awkward moments with this specific teacher. He just like always happened to be there like at my worst moments. So I played soccer in high school, and when I was on JV, when I was a sophomore, it was before I had this teacher as a teacher. So he didn't know who I was, and he coached the JV boys and I was on the JV girls. And so one time the JV boys were watching us, and my friend Justin, he was on the JV boys team, and he so nicely, very kind of him, like said to this teacher, the coach, was like, hey, like watch out for Emma. She's number, whatever number I was. I think it was 10. It's like, watch out for number 10. Like she's really good. And he was like, oh, okay. And so they were watching the game for a second, and I was right in front of them. Like I was right in front of where they were on the sidelines. And I think I got like nutmegged, or like some girl pulled some like crazy trick on me. And it was embarrassing. Like it was an embarrassing play on my part. And then Justin, I remember him saying like, he looked back, he was like, never mind. Or like, he was like, or like the teacher or this coach said something like, huh, like really, she's really good. Like that was embarrassing. So yeah. Oh God, I hated reliving that actually. What is the most unusual thing in your wallet, pocket, or purse right now at this moment? You know what? I'll be right back. I mean, actually, this is not that unusual, but one thing about me is I'm a sweaty girl. I sweat so much, and I almost always carry deodorant with me. And I have this little travel-sized native deodorant in my wallet at all times. I don't know if I would call that unusual because it's very usual for me, but I'm sure not everybody brings deodorant wherever they go, although they should. Okay, do you believe in true love? Yes, obviously. No, I really do. It's the one thing that I believe the most in, I think. Okay, what impression do you think you give when you what impression do you think you give when you first meet someone? I have been told countless times by people that I seem very intimidating if they like haven't talked to me yet. Like before I talk, they're like intimidated by me. And I'm not sure why that is. Like I don't think that I have a resting bitch face, but maybe I do. But maybe it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like some people can give off a certain vibe, but like I personally don't think I give off an intimidating vibe, but just because many people have told me that before, I'm like, okay, well, it must be true. But first impression, like if somebody meets me for the first time, my best friend always says like, you always get a first impression. Like there's never anybody who doesn't like you like right off the bat. Like, you know, like the people closest to you, like my mom, like Julio, my best friend Esme, like they'll say stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, but some people don't. So I don't really know what impression I give off. Maybe somebody can tell me in the comments how they perceived me when they first met me, or I don't know, saw me online or whatever. But I don't think I'm intimidating, but that is what I've been told. So be intimidated. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just like a little softie. It really depends. I feel like it depends on my mood that day of like what a first impression of me can be, because my moods change so much. Like if I'm being myself, if I feel really like, you know, grounded and happy and all that, like I can probably come off as like very hyper and very friendly and very doesn't shut the fuck up. But sometimes I'm in a very quiet mood, if I'm not in a bad mood or I'm just tired. So you never really know. But let me know what your impression of was of me. Do you believe in heaven and hell? Well, I feel like I would like to believe that there's something after death. I feel like hell feels like so dramatic. Like the people that think like that hell is real and that, you know, groups of people are going to it, like it just feels really dramatic. I'm like, oh, you're really wishing that on people. But I would like to believe that there's something after this life, or it's just reincarnation. I don't know if I believe in heaven, but like sometimes it's nice to think that there is a heaven, because when you think of the people that you've lost in your life, you want to think of them as like, oh, they're probably having the time of their life up there. And it's a nice vision, you know. Side note, I really love Nessa Barrett's new song Club Heaven that came out, that she wrote about Cooper. It's very touching, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you have any grief in your life. I feel like it's a really great song for that. So 5 things that irritate you about the opposite sex. I'm only going to pick one because I could go on and on. But I specifically want to share one that like Julio is included in, because I feel like I don't include him in any of the times where I'm like, men are trash, like men are awful, because he's not. He really isn't. He's the best person in the world. But I do hate how forgetful men are. I feel like women are way more thoughtful and better at remembering things, better at multitasking, and men just, they can't have multiple things in their mind at once. Like if I tell Julio 3 things to do, he'll only remember 1. And now I've trained him enough for him to ask, because I don't think there's anything wrong with like asking like, hey, what did you want me to do again? And I feel like that's why that's why women succeed more in like assistant or like helper like roles, because they're able to, like, if somebody just screams a list of demands at them, like they're able to remember it. Like I'm able to remember everything that my boss tells me without like writing it down, just because, well, one, I have a good memory, but I just feel like I'm not one to forget things. I think that men have selective hearing, but I just also think they're just like not with it. What song breaks your heart every time you hear it? Probably Club Heaven now, because I've been listening to it. Like it breaks my heart every time I listen to it. Oh my god, there's so many songs break my heart. I mean, Constantine is one of my favorite songs in the world. And then actually my favorite song, my old favorite, let's talk about favorite songs, because I mean, your favorite song is a very hard thing to choose, especially if you're a lover of music. It's like actually impossible. Like I don't think Julio really doesn't have a favorite song, but I know he really loves the song Vienna. My favorite song used to be I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. And I have a very sweet story. I have a very sweet memory attached to that song, and that's why I loved it so much. But I've decided well, no, I didn't like decide. I just like naturally found a new favorite song. And that is When Emma Falls in Love by Taylor Swift. It was in the vault all those years. I never had it, and I finally got it when she released the new Speak Now. And I am so grateful that she released it years later and not at that time, because I probably would have fallen in love with so many more people. Like bad things probably would have happened if I had that song earlier. So I'm so glad that I have it at a time in my life when I actually do have somebody who is my soulmate, who is my lifelong partner, best friend, whatever you want to call it. I love that song. It's really, a lot of it is how I feel about how I fall in love and about my current relationship too. So I really love it. How old were you when you got your first kiss? I was in 6th grade. It was at a teen night at the local pool. And it was so weird. Like everybody was involved. Like everybody was like crowded around us. It was really weird. Like it felt like it was like a high pressure situation. Like a lot of people were watching, and I'm like, what? I don't know how to kiss. Like how am I going to kiss for the first time in front of all these people? It was insanely awkward. And yeah, I was probably like 12. Who was your crush as a kid? I had a crush on this guy for so long, and I feel like a lot of girls have this, or like a lot of just people in general have like long standing crushes that just never worked out. But I had a crush on this guy I don't know, since 1st grade till maybe 8th grade, but still probably after that still kept hope that like someday we might get together. But his name was Nick. Why not just say his name on here? I really don't care. He's not going to listen to this. Yeah, he would tell me that he didn't like me, and he would date so many girls, some of them my friends. And yeah, he was my neighbor, so we were really close. Like we were really close friends. And I remember my mom, she was so nice to just like try to let me down easy. Like I remember her being like, well, maybe he just sees you as like a sister, just a best friend, and maybe he doesn't see you like that. And I was like, oh no. I remember when she said that, I was just thinking like, that is devastating. I don't want that to be true, but my mom was always right. So it was a blessing in disguise that he never liked me back, because he was a terrible boyfriend to all these girls. Do you hold any grudges against anyone? I don't. I really don't. I don't even like try not to. I just don't, because I think that whatever like, I think that we're all the villain in somebody's story. And I don't like to look back on people that I might have had like a good relationship at some point with and only think about like the bad times together. Like, I don't like to do that. / I think that anything wrong that people did to me was just a product of them not knowing themselves or just being young. And people make mistakes, and sometimes it's at the cost of other people, which sucks. But I don't hold any grudges against anyone. Like, I feel like that's a very sad way to live your life too, if you're always mad about something that somebody did to you in the past. Like, I just don't live in the past, and I try not to live in the future too. I just try to live in the present, and right now, me in the present forgives anybody for anything wrong that they ever did to me, because I really don't care, because it made me the person I am today, and I love the person I am. So, do you prefer that people shoot straight with you or temper their words? I definitely shoot straight. I don't know anyone who like doesn't want somebody to just shoot straight to them. Like, it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time and a waste of breath for somebody to tiptoe around your feelings. Like, just say what you need to say. Communication is great, but don't waste it on being coy or being like, is it okay with you? Just say it. Just say what you want, say what you need, say what you mean. All right, my phone died, so now I'm reading off of my computer. Why did you put an end to your last relationship? Oof. I mean, so many reasons, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I couldn't handle, like, I'm sure most of you know, but my relationship before Julio was it was so toxic. It was emotionally abusive, toxic, and it was draining. Like, I was a shell. It just made me a shell of a human, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I just decided to choose happiness, I guess, and get out of it. But it was a very toxic cycle. And I'm so glad that I did get out of it. And honestly, one of these questions was, what is your biggest accomplishment? And I would say how healthy my relationship is. Like, my relationship with Julio is my biggest accomplishment, alongside with deciding that I wasn't going to allow myself to get treated horribly anymore. And I decided to end my last relationship. Like, that is like a major turning point in my life, I feel like, where the universe was like, okay, finally, you know your worth. Finally, you want to be on the other side of this. Here's an angel. Here's Julio. But yes, my relationship is my biggest accomplishment. I think that's so weird to say, because I feel like most people's answers to that would be career based, but mine is definitely not. Like, 100%. It's my relationship and how amazing it is. Like, we are such healthy communicators. He's taught me so much. I've taught him so much. I've allowed him to open up. He's allowed me to believe in love and trust again after my last relationship. And we work together very well. We are such a good team in every sense of it. Like, every part of our relation, like, nothing is lacking in our relationship, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like a lot of people have common fights that they have, and like, yeah, there's things that come up, but most of them are just maybe in my head. I'm usually the one that like has a problem. But yeah, Julio's never gotten in a fight with me or been mad at me or ever raised his voice at me. He's never yelled at me or anything like that. He's never really gotten mad at me, and I have gotten mad at him, like, not a lot, but like, there are times when I freak out and I can't control my temper, because that, I mean, it's something I need to work on, but that's just like the kind of person I am too. I explode, but he doesn't, and he knows how to deal with me. And then some of his flaws, like, I know how to deal with that as well. And I don't really know if I'm describing this so well, but I just want to make a point that I feel Like whatever we got going is really fucking good. And it's because we've put in the work, but the work hasn't even felt like work. It hasn't, you know, those couples are like, we've been through our ups and downs. Like that's not it at all. Like we've had mostly ups, and like the downs, I wouldn't even call them downs because it's just been like working through something together. But the something isn't even like, it's been like trauma from my past relationships type stuff that I've dealt with for so long. And I feel like I'm very proud of myself. I feel very accomplished in the fact that like I am nowhere near as crazy. I don't want to say crazy. I'm nowhere near as broken of a person as I was as at the beginning of this relationship. Like I feel very whole in just myself, not even like just with Julio, but it's because we have been such healthy partners. We've been such healthy influences on each other, where I feel like our relationship is just like, if I had to give it a rating, like I would give it 10 out of 10. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to be in such a healthy, loving relationship because I know how it felt to not be in one. And that felt like I was losing at life every day. And now I feel like I'm winning. Okay, along with that question, would you get married or is it too much of a hassle? I am going to make an entire episode about this topic coming soon in the next couple months, because Julio and I are going on a trip soon somewhere where I feel like a lot of people are going to assume that something is going to happen. And it is not going to happen because we don't want to get married. And I'm going to go into all the reasons why in that episode. So I'll just say that now. But yeah, we're not going to get married. And that's okay. And it's because we don't want to get married. Not because we don't want to like marry each other. We want to like find other people. Like we want to be with each other for the rest of our lives, but we don't want to have that legal contract, if that makes sense. There's tons of other there's so many reasons why we're not getting married. That was just like a overall like, yeah, we don't want the government to get involved in our relationship. But that episode will come soon. If you have any questions about it too, let me know, because I'll answer them in that episode. When you're upset, do you want space or attention? I definitely want attention. I don't want space. I want somebody to do what I do. When someone's upset at me, or when somebody's upset in general, I do not shut up. I do not stop talking. I do not stop giving them like words of affirmation. I don't know why. Like I just feel like people get so in their heads, and I know that I get so in my heads that I kind of just need somebody to be like, hey, you're okay, you got this, like I'm not mad at you, or like this thing you did, like it's just a mistake, or I don't know, just like, I mean there's so many instances in life where this happens, where somebody is upset about something or upset about you, and it's like, oh, do you give them space to just work it out on their own, or do you try to help them? I definitely try to help that person as much as I can, and then maybe give them space. But I don't know, I feel like when I'm upset, I feel like Julio likes to give me space, because maybe it's just because sometimes I say things that I don't mean when I'm upset. I'm sure people can relate. He doesn't do that. He doesn't. Yeah, like I said, like he's never lashed out on me, and he's never really been upset at me in the first place. So, because I'm just perfect. No, I don't know why he has never gotten mad at me about anything. Well, maybe it's just I don't do anything to get him mad. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, we have a really great relationship. But yeah, I definitely want attention, or maybe the right word isn't attention. I would just like that person to be next to me. I don't want them to be like physically away from me. Like I want them to be right next to me. I want like to go on a walk until we talk, and then once we start talking, we don't finish the walk until we talk it all out, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that, because maybe I'm just weird, because I do feel like a lot of people just want space, and I feel like Julio is like that. He just wants space, but I'm just like talking a million miles at him, like making sure he's okay. But he's like, Emma, I just need a minute. Next question is, what has been your happiest memory from this past year? Mine is easily going to Boston for Boston Calling to shoot and be with our friend Jay, who was playing Boston Calling, his band was playing a festival for the first time. And it was a huge deal. I mean, Boston Calling is a huge festival, and it was just so well deserved for them to be there. And just having the chance to be able to shoot it and be able to document that day, that very special day for them, was just, it was just like unbelievably rewarding, and just that whole day was just full of excitement and love, and everyone was cool and so kind, and it was just the best experience ever. Thinking about it, like, I'm just so glad that we did that. I'm so glad I reached out, like, asking if I can shoot them and be with them that day, and that Julio and I were both, part of their crew. It was just so special. It was so unique of an experience that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I love Jay so much. He's the one who did the theme song for NMJC. He's just one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I was really excited that Julio and I got to be there and support him and support his bandmates, and everyone who worked with his band was just so kind and supportive and lovely, and it was the coolest weekend ever. What would your younger self not believe about your life today? Probably that I work at a museum. My parents took my sister and I to so many museums growing up. Like, I mean, just I'm just picturing myself, my little child self in a museum, just walking around being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't know what any of this shit means. Like, I did not appreciate it at all. Like, every time we would travel, we would go to like 2 museums a day. Like, it was insane. But my parents just love art and they love culture, and now I'm so grateful that they took us and exposed us to so many different forms of art, whether it be museums, concerts, operas. Like, it was a lot, I think, for a kid to digest, but now I'm so grateful for it. I just have such an appreciation for that stuff now, because I grew up with it just being like a part of my life, and then I now know that it wasn't a part of a lot of people's lives. A lot of people didn't have parents who would take them to go see Evita or take them to, I don't know, every fucking museum in Italy. Like, a lot of people didn't have that, and I see it as a privilege. I see it as a huge fucking privilege that my parents exposed my sister and I to so many forms of art and culture growing up, and I'm very in travel, and I'm very thankful for that. But I feel like my younger self would be like, Emma, you work in a museum? That's fucking boring. And I don't have like a permanent job in a museum. Like, I work at the Getty right now, which is just one of my favorite places in LA. Like, I love working there. I love it so fucking much, and I don't know, maybe I'll stay there for longer than I think, but I think my younger self would be like, what the fuck, but also be like, oh, but it's really pretty there, so I get it. How would you describe the feeling of being in love in one word? I think safe, I think, would be the word I would use to describe being in love, because I don't think I was ever like in love. I mean, I never was in love the way I am now. Julio has taught me what being in love is, and what I just want it to be, like what I want it to feel like I want it to feel safe. Like, I never felt safe in any other relationship. Well, I did, I guess, in my first one, but then like because I was wrong to feel safe, then that like fucked me up, and I'm like, I can't feel safe. Like I need to have trust issues and jealousy and like all that stuff. But now yeah, I think the word I would use is safe. What do you crave more of? Human connection and purposeful work. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's my answer. What's the worst pain you have ever been in physically? Oh, my girlies who have an IUD, we know. That was the worst pain of my life, getting it inserted, and then the second time I did it because the first time it fell out of place. I just had the worst pain for like months after. Like it never went away. Like I had such bad pain from my IUD like 6 months after it was put in. And so I just took it out because I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth to be in pain every single day of my life just so I don't get pregnant. Like, well, actually, I wasn't the one who said that. Julio did. Julio was like, what? Like, because I had tried so many. Oh my God, this is a whole other thing. But I've tried so many birth control methods, pills, and that did the IUD twice. And like nothing worked physically or emotionally. Like obviously like worked, like I didn't get pregnant, but like didn't work as in like, it was horrible. Like my symptoms from it were horrible. The stuff I experienced because of it was horrible and debilitated me. So, yeah, Julio was just like, we can just use condoms. I don't understand like why you're going through all this hell. And I just looked at him like, oh, I didn't realize that was an option. Because men, right? Men are just the fucking worst, but Julio isn't. So yeah. That was the worst pain that I've been physically, definitely. I mean, every month I'm in such physical pain for my period, but like nothing compares to how my periods were when I was on my IUD. All right, the last question that I'm going to answer. Thank you all for sticking with me. Again, please try to answer some of these questions for yourselves in the comments or DM them, text them to me, whatever. Like I want to talk about these questions with somebody because I'm doing this episode by myself. I don't have a guest here today, but yeah, this is also just like asking questions myself to know what questions I like to answer. And yeah, this has been a very eye-opening but like kind of draining episode because I've been talking about myself the whole time. But when you are asked how you are, how often do you answer truthfully? I feel like a lot of people right now are like, oof, never. I feel like most people are like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And especially like at work, if somebody asks you, like it's like 50-50 for me, I think, because it really depends on the situation. It really depends like who's asking me and where I am. I like to be truthful because I just cannot lie. But if it is like a situation where it's just like a random person or like, you know, the person at Trader Joe's, like I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, like it's all, well actually sometimes I have been overly truthful with my cashier at Trader Joe's. So I don't know. I guess I am mostly truthful, but like if it's like a boss or something, someone that I'm working with that doesn't know me very well, I'm not gonna be like, oh. But also like I guess right now like I'm in a good place in my life, but or like, oh my God, I gotta knock on wood. Because I'm always going through it. I feel like everybody lately has always been going through it, but like I'm pretty okay right now, aside from, you know, watching the world burn. So I think I answer truthfully for the most part. And I think people should. I feel like people shouldn't fake their emotions, but I too slip up sometimes and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm fine, when I'm really not. And I would like it if people were honest with me. And I think people should be honest even in the workspace too, so that people know like what's going on. Like if you just had like a big loss in your family or just went through a horrible relationship breakup or whatever, like I think it's okay to be like, actually, I'm not doing okay. And I might be a little slow to respond today, or like I might be a little like spacey on this meeting, or like I don't know. I think it's important to tell the truth of where you're at, because people are always going through shit, and I think that not exposing yourself, but like being truthful about what's going on will help people show more empathy to others in general, because they'll have more experiences where people have told them like, hey, I'm not doing well, and it's not this just like robotic culture that we live in, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the generations before us had a very like they were just robots, and now Gen Z, I feel like, is all like, how are you really feeling, you know? And how am I really feeling? That's what I'm going to end this on. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really, really great. I'm really stoked that this is the 100th episode of NMJC. I really love doing this, and I think before I even started my podcast, I think I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about starting podcast, and they were talking about how it was like some crazy statistic, like it was like 99% of podcasts that start never make it to 100 episodes. I think that might have been the statistic, or that it was like 97% of podcasts never make it past the 7th episode or something. I don't know. It was like a crazy like a statistic like that. And I am just proud that we've reached 100 episodes, and I'm really, really grateful for you all being here and listening to me, and I love you all so much. Thank you for chilling with me every week. I mean, I know it's not been like weekly lately just because I've been whatever, I'm not gonna make excuses for myself, but thank you for chilling with me whenever I post an episode, and for your support and care and holding space for me. And I'm really excited about upcoming guests that we have. And cheers, with my fucking finger wrapped in a paper towel. Cheers to 100, and cheers to 100 more. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Nothing much, just a chillin'.